Quad the fraud. Quad the fraud. Quad the fraud. Quad the fraud. Quad the fraud.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Quad the fraud already knew that she wasn't able to have kids from she was with Dr. G. Yes, she knew. No, she's able to talk about it while she's with King because obviously she's more comfortable with King. And I guess, no, she feels like she can come clean. No, she feels as if she can come clean. Excuse me, guys, I was talking in a different dialogue. But now she feels as if she can come clean and let everyone know. And everybody oversees what really happened and what might have happened while she was with Dr. G. While she was with Dr. G, obviously, she wasn't able to get pregnant. She was not able to give the man a child. And I kind of feel bad, you know, because I actually kind of like Quad the fraud while she's off the show. Because there are times where I have commented to Quad on her Instagram, and Quad the fraud have replied to me, and she seemed to be a nice person. But I believe that Quad wasn't able to give Dr. G a child, and she knows that because now she's doing IVF. Now all of a sudden you are with Dr. G, King, all of a sudden you know that you're not able to get pregnant. Girl, please. That is why she was always so angry, because girlfriend already knew that she wasn't able to get pregnant from she was with Dr. G. Come on, guys, think about it. Sweet Tea was able to come onto the show and be vulnerable and let everyone know that she wasn't able to get pregnant and she's gonna have to go through this and she's gonna have to go through that. And Dr. Heavenly bashed her, and Dr. Heavenly said she knew she wasn't able to get pregnant and she tied the man and she this and she that. Well, I don't know what is wrong with Dr. G, why Dr. G is so salt. And when I say salt, means bad lucky. Why he picked up two women that are not able to get pregnant for him. At this point, is it Dr. G that is the problem? Doctors, have you tested that to see if Dr. G is the one with the problem? Well, maybe not, because we know that Sweet Tea, according to her, has some medical issues. But yes, I do believe that Quad the fraud did know that she was not able to get pregnant from the time that she was with Dr. G, and she knows it. Everybody knows it, but she's more, well, not everybody knows it, because obviously they're not using their brains and they're not talking about it. And if they know, they're not talking about it because they choose to talk about whatever they want to talk about. Just like Toya knowing things about Dr. Heavenly and her son being locked up allegedly, and she doesn't talk about it. Everybody hides things and they talk about what they want to talk about. Anyways, Quad the fraud was not able to get pregnant for Dr. G. I apologize, Quad, because I like you off the show. Yes, I do. But let's see if she's really going to get pregnant for King.
Mariah tried to tell us Quad the fraud. It seems like this storyline that Quad is giving us about her trying to have a child with a man that she's not even married to is totally false and totally fabricated. I have found video clips and interviews that Quad did 6, 7, and 8 years ago, basically saying she has the same exact issue that Sweet Tea has, which is an issue with her fibroids, unable to conceive a child, is what it pretty much breaks down to. So I have a question for y'all. Why is Quad now telling us that she wants to have a baby by a man she ain't married to, which is a red flag all day, that she is just wanting to be somebody's baby mama? And then the number two thing is that she can't get pregnant. But we don't hear, or we won't hear anything about her, with her discussing her inability to get pregnant based on these issues that she has with her fibroids. It seems like she wants to keep this a secret, which is crazy because, girl, if you wanted to keep it secret, you do realize that you did interviews on this 6, 7, and 8 years ago.
Your doctor recommend?
Right, so I did something very unique. Initially, I was with a physician. She was amazing, had been in the business for 30 years, very informative, but it was still very unsettling. She wanted to do a myomectomy on me. And I did not want to commit to at some point that I were to get pregnant and have a baby, then I would have to have a cesarean because my muscles would not be strong enough to push for the baby to come out naturally. And that, I was very fearful of that. And so I just did research. I just thrusted myself into research. Luckily, I have friends who are physicians, OBGYNs, and I learned about the Acessa procedure. And at that point, I just felt like it was better for me. And I decided to go with that route. And while it's not wildly popular, it was a great option for me.
Can you just briefly, for people listening, talk a little bit about, so people hear myomectomy and you know what that means. Talk a little bit about myomectomy versus the radio frequency treatment that Quad had.
Well, what you had, the radio frequency ablation procedure, we don't have time to go into detail, but basically you have some small incisions made on the belly, very small incisions, and then the doctor will look by way of the laparoscopic ultrasound probe, and then they'll put a little electrode array into that fibroid. They'll heat the fibroid up to destroy it, and then over time, the patient's body will slowly and safely just absorb that tissue.
Absolutely.
So it's an option, but for one person, the right option might be hormonal birth control. For another person, it may be a progesterone-containing IUD. It might be a uterine artery embolization. It may be just the myomectomy, which is surgical removal of the fibroid, or it may be a hysterectomy. But as a woman, you have the right to know your options.
Absolutely.
And you have a right to know which option is best for you, but realize that not every option is appropriate for every circumstance.
Absolutely.
How are you feeling since you had the procedure?
I feel great.
Good for you.
I feel so good. Listen, and so I'm not having those long periods anymore.
So annoying.
I'm like 5 days. Yeah.
Well, and Quad, you listen to your body, but you put it off.
Yeah.
So what have you learned, and what's your message to everybody listening?
Great question. I think that I know we have to do a lot. I know that we are committed. I know that we don't want to disappoint. But when you are negating to listen to your body, you are neglecting yourself. And I don't want people to do that. A lot of things can be prevented, right? But we tend to kind of get away from that because it's like, oh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. The time is now. It's right now. So don't neglect your body. We only get one.
I think you're a wonderful representation of listening to your body. And we wish you nothing but success going forward, both in life, business, but more importantly with your health.
Yes.
How ironic, isn't it? So Quad, the fraud, Mariah called it. Quad has had an issue, it seems like, with having children from, seems like when she was married to Dr. G, because these videos, like I said, are like 7, 8 years. One of them even says 6 years ago. So I don't think that, this is something that ultimately just happened. I would have, assumed that this extended through her marriage. So it seems like some of the information that we were given was incorrect. And unfortunately, Dr. G is not the type to kind of refute anything. So let's get into what a myomastectomy is. And I believe the lady explained it. A myomastectomy is a surgical removal procedure to remove the fibroids, okay, from the uterus through an incision in the abdomen. And that's what I believe the lady is a doctor. And that is kind of what she explained. Now, they do have a procedure called Acessa fibroid treatment, and that is what Quad was referencing in her video. But the purpose of this video is simply to prove the point that Quad is a fraud, and this entire storyline about her having a child is nothing more than a storyline. And thank you guys for sharing information with me, because for some reason I missed the part about this lady not being able to have children, which again, this would have been a great opportunity for Quad to basically share her experiences, because it seems like, she knew this as well, as, she was coming at Sweet Tea, telling Sweet Tea how she got in a man's DM and couldn't have a baby. But Based on what she says, it seems like she can't have one either.
Ready?
Don't be nervous.
Boom. Perfect.
I decided to take my IVF journey to Ghana. I'm willing to travel over to the motherland for my baby.
Bravo's Married to Medicine, and also I'm one of the co-hosts of the groundbreaking talk show Sister Circle. And yes, you guessed it, I'm also an author of Cooking with Miss Quad, Live, Laugh, Love, and Eat. A typical day for me is very busy. I start at about 5 a.m. Very difficult at times to have personal time to myself, but when I do like to relax and cook and work on new recipes and enjoy time with my friends. It doesn't happen all the time, but when I can do it, I get it done. My menstrual cycles got extremely heavy, and not only heavy, but were for an elongated period of time. I experienced frequent urinations, I had lower back pains, abdomen pains, I saw myself gaining weight in my midsection. So it was a shock to me when I learned that I had fibroids. So I called a friend, and that individual was in another state, a physician friend of mine, and then he told me about 𝐸𝐸𝐸. And as I did the research, I was like, this is more fitting. I was like, I wonder if there's anyone here in Atlanta or in Georgia who could perform this surgery on me. And I looked and I looked and I looked, and that's when I saw Dr. Soini Hawkins, and I was like, this says Georgia. And then as I see Georgia, I go down and I have my finger in my eyes, and I'm like, this says Alpharetta. This says Alpharetta. This is not far from my house. So, it was just like, to me at that moment, every worry, every concern, everything that I was afraid of, I had a sense of calmness.
Decide to be so transparent about your journey and going through that.
Well, I actually have been transparent about everything in my life. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. If I wanted to hide it, the people won't let me hide it. So let's just say that. But I only feel like, too, it's always important to be an example. Yeah. You might just be that inspiration that someone could use and could say, you know what, if she did it, then I can do it, too. I thought it was too late for me. I was throwing in the towel and giving up. And so, when I saw Quad jump out there, she was so vulnerable and so fearless, because it's a bold thing that I'm doing this season. And it takes a lot of courage. Yes. Everyone wouldn't do it, but I chose proudly to do it. Yeah.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.